Strong and geek. Strong and geek. Strong and the strong and the strong and the strong and the geek and the geek and the geek and the geek and the strong and the geek and the strong and the strong and the geek. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Strong and the Geek podcast, your semi-weekly, bi-monthly, whenever we end up deciding to do it, digest on all things pop culture, nerd culture, and pretty much sometimes pseudo-political sarcastic culture.
Welcome to the show, bub.
Oh, yeah. That, of course, leading us into the show this week, was the theme song from the very famous and quite infamous X-Men animated series.
One of the greatest cartoons ever made.
One of the definitely greatest intro songs ever.
Oh, for sure.
Super 90s metal-esque.
Absolutely.
And we chose that song particularly to be our song of the week because this week we will be discussing the newest in the line of X-Men films.
Logan.
Actually,
in this one, it's more like, Logan.
Yeah. Or Logan James. That was kind of more Batman-y, wasn't it?
Hang on, yeah, was that?
Batman saying that?
Who did you think that was?
I don't know. I can't really do a Hugh Jackman accent.
Oh, a good Hugh Jackman accent is, "G'day, mate."
He's Australian. But yes, more on Logan and our review of that later. First things first, we have an excellent show for you this week. We have lots of things to talk about. But before all of that, I am always your host, Josh Ramirez. With me,
I am always as your host.
As always is your host. With me is my special guest co-host, not the brave little toaster.
Hey, bub. I don't remember how his voice sounded.
You know, let me phrase that, because it's not the brave little toaster, as opposed to not a brave little toaster, which would be a cowardly toaster.
Not the brave little toaster.
Right, you're not a cowardly toaster, you're just not the brave little toaster.
Yeah. Do you remember the movie where they go to Mars?
Yeah, it was really shitty.
Yeah, that was really shitty. Because there was a baby, and then the baby was like breathing on Mars.
So remember the little kid. So what happened was the toaster belonged to the kid who had the blankie too.
Yeah. That kid grew up weird.
Well, that was the first one,
and even weirder than frickin' Andy from Toy Story.
Oh, for sure. Well, in the sequel, he went to college, and the toaster and them found their way to find him at college.
Yeah, was that the one where he worked in like a research lab?
I don't know, but in the third one, that was when he got married and had a baby, and they went to Mars because the baby somehow ended up at Mars.
Hold up, do you think that blankie was like on the edge of the bed while they were fucking?
I think the blankie was underneath them while they were.
You think they did it on top?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, Master,
dude, the blanket had a weird infatuation with the
well,
kid.
because when he was a teen, he jerked off in it.
He used it to clean up the mess.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well,
Master,
I feel like toaster and
throw
vacuum.
Me in the wash.
Anyway, we have moving on. We have a very fun show for you this afternoon. But first things first, we have some geek news to talk about, as we always do.
Yeah, this first half is going to be more news heavy than personal heavy this week.
So let's start us out. What kind of news do you want to lay down on us?
Well, we got some sweet new trailers in the past week or so.
And not just movie trailers.
Yeah. And actually...
Or tractor trailers.
Actually, I first wanted to start with one that surprised me, which was... Shadow of War, which is Middle-earth 2, a sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which one of my favorite games. A lot of fun. Really
Lord
cool.
Of the Rings.
Inventive system. For those of you who don't know, it's basically the Arkham games, but in Middle-earth. Same combat system and whatnot. And... I knew they were going to make a sequel eventually, but we never got even a piece of information. They kept it on tight wraps. And then all of a sudden this week, info on it got leaked. So the developers of the game are like, screw it, let's just put out the trailer and everything.
Well, they were probably planning on releasing the trailer because they had it ready to go.
Yeah, the game's coming out in August. Like,
there you go.
Normally when you see a trailer for something, it's still like a year and a half out.
I prefer that. I like seeing the first time hearing about something and be like, oh, by the way, this comes out next month.
Oh, yeah, no, I prefer that as well.
10 Cloverfield Lane did that, and it was awesome.
Although August isn't next month.
Well, you know what I mean. Soon enough, though.
Yeah. No, I agree. A lot of times you'll go to E3 and you'll see a trailer for something and get hyped, and they'll be like, it'll be a couple of years yet.
Yeah,
and
or
it's
like-
why are you showing me this?
Or the first time we saw the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3, like 5 years
we
ago?
still don't have details on Kingdom
And we don't know
Hearts
when
3.
it's coming out or anything. Yeah.
If it's coming out. I mean, they'll keep pushing out the goalpost, but
Right, but I saw the trailer also. Yeah, I didn't play the first one, but it looked really good, and the trailer this one makes it look good. But I mean, I wasn't like super hyped by it or anything, so I would go with your scale. Okay.
okay. One thing apparently, because I was listening to this thing where they were kind of breaking down the trailer and saying like what might be in the next game, and what he pointed out is that in I think the UK. There was already a thing that went up and then got taken back down, which is like pre-order here to receive this, like the bonus pack. What do they call it?
DLC.
No, like the collector's edition where you get like a little statue and a map and all that shit.
Oh, like the deluxe edition.
Yeah, and the little statue is of a Balrog fighting one of those little fell beasts, the little dragon type things, the ring rates ride.
Right.
But on the back of the fell beast is Talion. So, presumably in this game, you'll be able to ride dragons.
That'd be cool.
Which is a cool mechanic. In the last game, you could ride...
Horses?
No, they were like wargs, but if wargs were cats instead of dog boars.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And you could also ride on the back of graugs, which are like kind of like cave trolls.
Wargs and graugs and mogs and dorgs.
So, maybe in this game, you'll be able to ride more shit.
Maybe you could ride a Balrog.
Maybe. I thought when I first saw the trailer that you could turn into a Balrog. Because he puts the ring on, and that's when the Balrog breaks out of the ground.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Yeah. But we'll see how the game turns out. I'm
All
excited.
right. So that's trailer 1. What about trailer 2 that we got?
Well, we also got what I think is going to be the best Alien movie in a long time.
Alien Covenant.
Yeah, it looks like they're really getting back down to the roots with this one.
But not dismissing the Prometheus sequel vibe.
Yeah. The way it's shot looks still to touch on Prometheus a lot. It looks like it's going to be, though, very much in line with the original Alien.
Right.
One crew kind of trapped together sort of deal. I think maybe just one alien?
The trailer makes it seem like it's one alien.
I gotta say, that last clip where it's hanging onto the ship and just started bashing its head into the glass was really well shot. And scary looking.
I like this trailer. Gave me a good vibe that it's going to have the horror elements, but also kind of the sci-fi mystery that Prometheus had, which I'm interested to see. And honestly, I'm interested to see how it just continues the story also of I forget the name of the characters, but of the android and the girl who are the last two left at the end of Prometheus, because we see them find her ship, the ship that she left that planet in,
and we see in this movie that he has a body.
Well, this is presumably this is a different android. This is the same model.
You don't think it's the same Fassbender?
It wouldn't make any sense.
Because at the end he was just a head, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he was going with her when she was leaving that planet
out to find the.
This is another one from Earth.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm always glad when you see something get back down to its roots.
Right.
Now, what we need is another Predator to get back down to its roots,
which is in the works.
Yeah, I've heard rumors of that as well. Now, we also, oddly, there was another trailer for a very similar looking movie called Life that's starring Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal. Did you see that one?
I did not.
It is about a group of people that go to Mars and evidently find some kind of life form, and then they're stuck on the little spacecraft on the way home or whatever, and it starts killing people. It straight up looks like Alien.
Maybe I was. Was that during Logan, that trailer?
No. I just caught it on TV.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it looks like Alien mixed with The Martian.
Cool.
Or Gravity or whatever, They're in zero. It's like Alien, but it's zero G.
And Interstellar or whatever.
But Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, that's actually pretty good, pretty strong casting.
Yeah, it's going to get you a lot of people who are attracted to them.
Right away. Yeah, as I heard on a podcast this morning, they are the Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal of each other.
They are.
Yeah, that's the only way to describe those two men.
I have to be honest, though. I don't really consider them, like, fantastic actors.
Really? I
don't consider them bad.
I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal has done some really, really strong stuff in the past.
Right.
Brokeback Mountain, Nightcrawler, etc. And Ryan Reynolds is just all the flavors of charming. So I feel like they'll play off each other well if Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a little bit more dour and Ryan Reynolds is kind of the more like, we're going to fucking Mars,
Listen,
man!
I would love to have a movie. If I was going to have a movie where I just wanted charisma out of the wall, I'd pick those two. I'd pick Chris Pratt. Those are the people I'd pick if I wanted a charismatic cast.
Yeah.
But if I want, like, thespian actors, I'm going elsewhere.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, any other trailers?
Yes, we also got the teaser to Deadpool 2.
Oh, yes, we did.
In Logan, which I guess was supposed to be at the end, but they moved it to the beginning because it would not have felt right at the end of that movie.
Especially not after, how the film
It was
ends.
supposed to be like the post-credits.
Right.
But they moved it up instead. And let me tell you, we didn't get the full version cinematically, I guess. There's a one that's actually a little bit longer.
Yeah, I heard about this on the internet. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet either. But what we did get, I thought, was very funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Very referential to... I mean, they actually played the original John Williams Superman track, which...
They did.
I guess they must have made a deal to get that.
I don't know how they pulled that one off. Well, I think maybe Fox owned the old Superman.
I want to say that was Universal Studios.
I don't know, but whatever. I thought about that when I was actually saying it.
Yeah. So in this, we have randomly posters for Firefly in the background, as well as movie posters for Logan. And he makes mention of, Hugh Jackman would have just fucking worn a tank top and jeans.
Yep.
So again, Deadpool exists in a universe where movies that we watch are also in the movies, but then those things are also real.
But yeah, so Deadpool. Here's my take on the trailer. I like that it's silly and totally in line with Deadpool, but as I've mentioned a couple times, I still don't think he's as funny as everybody thinks. Like, okay, watching some guy getting mugged and stabbed, and then Deadpool runs out, but he's late, and he's just lying there kind of talking. Okay, yeah, haha. And I'm sure the first time I watch the movie, I'm going to like it. It's going to be funny. But to me, Deadpool is still like the Family Guy of superheroes. He makes me
absolutely.
He makes me laugh the first time, and after that, I don't care.
Look, I think the movie is funny on rewatching, personally. And I think that this one is... I'm just worried it's not going to be as funny as the first one is, because they're going to go too big. And I mean, I know this one has a bigger budget. And one of the things about the first movie that made it good was it had to be small. You know what I mean? The biggest set piece was at the very end. And even then, that was kind of done as a nod to joking at big superhero movies where you have giant things crashing and shit. Like in Captain America Civil War, where the cars are being thrown about.
Right.
But I believe the budget for Deadpool was only like $60 or $70 million, which is more money than I'll ever see, but is really small for a blockbuster.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't intended to be a blockbuster, though.
And that's the thing. I like the fact that the movie was smaller.
I think the movie will be fine. I'm not concerned. I think it'll be probably better than the first one, if not the same. I'm not worried about any of that. I just know that I'm going to see it and probably think it's like an 8.
Fair enough.
Like, Deadpool 1, not bad, but every time I watch it since then, I don't laugh at like any of the jokes.
Okay, well, I guess if you know they're coming, then...
Yeah, they're funny the first time. But yeah, so in terms of trailers, I think that was about it.
Yeah, except for we also got a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer number 87 at this point.
I couldn't even told you there was a new trailer, because to me, they've all been kind of...
This is the first one that actually added some new elements.
Okay, then I must have not seen it.
Okay, so we got to see...
Excuse me.
We got to see Kurt Russell as Ego, the Living Planet.
He's a human.
In his human form, yes.
I hope we see him in planet form.
Well, either he... It's going to be hilarious if he's actually a planet with a face, because that's how Ego is drawn.
Oh, I know, yeah.
I'm guessing that it's actually going to be like a spaceship. It's going to be like the Death Star. You know what I mean? But I could be wrong. He could just, like, his essence could be tied to a planet.
I hope they make him a planet.
But we saw him come walking out. He's looking good, man. Kurt Russell. He has a beard in this movie. Looking neat. Still got it.
I want to see him rounder, more spherical.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, more planet-esque.
And then we also got to see the primary antagonists of this, which is this race of gold-skinned aliens.
Right.
Which apparently they do show up in the comics, but they're more obscure.
Okay.
Evidently, at the beginning of the movie, the Guardians are going to be doing something to piss them off, and then the rest of the movie is going to be basically them chasing the Guardians across the galaxy.
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, maybe it was because I was really, really excited for Logan, and I love Guardians 1. It's like probably my favorite Marvel, but I don't know why I'm not pumped for this Guardians 2.
Really?
I'm not. When the time comes, I'll be excited for it, but right now I don't know why I'm just not excited for it.
Again, I'm worried that it's not going to be as good as the first one.
Right.
Because the first one was
Great.
and it was a breath of fresh air. We didn't have anything like that yet.
Right.
Now things are touching on more because of the success of movies like Guardians and Deadpool, where we're trying to throw some more random jokes in, which I'm afraid that it might go too far in that direction.
Yeah.
There are characters that works well for. If they made a Booster Gold movie or a Plastic Man movie,
That'd be awesome.
Like joke it up.
Right.
Actually, I heard rumor that the Wachowskis penned a Plastic Man movie, but it didn't. Nothing ever happened of it. Pan out. It never panned out.
I know, I was doing a pun.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I think that it could be really good. I'm just afraid that they might try for too many jokes and not enough of the space opera thing that made the first one really, really good.
Yeah, I also really hope that they don't do the overemphasize little baby Groot. Oh, everyone thinks baby Groot's so cute, so let's just put all the emphasis
Well, they're going to try and merchandise the fuck
I
out
know,
of
but I
Baby
hate
Groot.
that. I hate when they overemphasize one thing too much. I feel like it's like the Star Wars, the prequels issue, where everybody loves Jedi, so let's make everything Jedi's flipping around, everything crazy. It's like, no, dude, use it sparingly.
Well, the only other thing that I'm worried about is the Guardians cast is growing significantly in this movie, and I'm afraid it's going to get bloated. I mean, we don't need everyone's backstory because we already know the connection between
the original squad.
Peter and Yondu and Nebula and Gamora and all of them, but we're also getting Mantis. We're getting I think Adam Warlock is going to make an appearance in this movie. We get a new whole set of villains. We got Ego, the Living Planet. I'm just afraid that it might get a little bloated.
And you know I hate Yondu, so.
Yeah, you don't like Yondu.
I hate Yondu.
He's looking good in this movie. His little mohawk is taller.
I know.
I didn't realize that thing grew. I thought it was like a cybernetic implant.
I think Yondu's stupid. He's a character no, it's fine.
Is it because he's a space redneck?
No, partially, and his whistling arrow is stupid. I just think
I thought his whistling arrow was badass.
I think he's a dumb character, but that's fine. I mean, Peter Quill's awesome. Star-Lord's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so Guardians 2, I know I will be excited when it comes. The trailers haven't got me hyped for it at all. I think that's another thing. But I know it'll be probably.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well,
moving on very briefly, I had 3 things I wanted to mention.
Please do.
In short time. So first, this is actually first and second. I was able to continue my DC Rebirth Odyssey with picking up Wonder Woman Rebirth Volume 1 and Suicide Squad Rebirth Volume 1. Really quick synopses for both of them, and just a 1-minute synopses. Wonder Woman Rebirth was telling the tale of Wonder Woman kind of having this existential crisis, realizing that she's had different origins, so she kind of is becoming aware that she was told all her life that she was made out of clay and then breathed life into by Zeus, but then she has this New 52 origin, where it's like, wait, no, Zeus is my dad, so what the hell is it?
Yeah.
And so she reconnects with Steve Trevor and with Cheetah, and they're able to break Cheetah's curse, so Cheetah becomes Barbara Minerva again.
Oh, okay.
But all that kind of stuff, they're helping each other to try and figure out what the hell's going on. And basically it ends with them making it back to Themyscira, but something's wrong. Nothing is like how Diana remembered Themyscira, and it almost ends with this panel of her being like, this isn't my home, something's going on. So there's this mystery here in play that they've introduced, that something has happened, which is why Wonder Woman has these conflicting origin stories and this different stuff. So I'm interested to see what happens from there on. I would give Wonder Woman Volume 1 probably an 8 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was pretty good. Not the best Wonder Woman book I've ever read, but it's okay. Suicide Squad, I'm probably going to give a 7.5. Suicide Squad, so it started with the squad going to infiltrate. They had to like infiltrate this base and obtain this technology from this scientist or something. Well, it turns out that the technology was actually a Phantom Zone projector that was keeping General Zod prisoner in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, okay.
So they get to him, it unleashes Zod. So Zod starts going crazy, destroying all this stuff, and the squad's trying to fight Zod, Squad v Zod.
Squad Zod?
But they're in Russia, and simultaneously, the Russian version of the Suicide Squad comes.
Oh.
So they're trying to deal with them at the same time.
Who's on the communist Suicide Squad?
Well, I think they're the Annihilation
Are they the Squad Suicide?
No, I just said. I think they're called like the Annihilation Squad or something.
Okay.
But it was all like Russian, like really super Russian characters. And right now, some of their names are escaping me, but they were characters I had never heard of before.
Yeah, I can't think of any
No, they were
Russian DC characters.
KG Beast.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough.
But no, they were kind of.
Sorry, he's not in the one. I was like, have you read any KG Beast comics recently?
No, they were. I would have to look back at their names because they were pretty not memorable right away. But to be fair, they were kind of silly. One was Peanut, something Peanut.
Mr. Peanut.
No, it was like a Peanut Commando or something. I don't know. But they all were like Russian puns. But the comic was. I don't know. I was expecting there to be more like a little more humor, but the jokes they did have were okay at best. But the thing they did that really pissed me off, spoiler alert, they killed Captain Boomerang.
Oh, really?
Boomerang's the one who's like, oh, this is no big deal, and like opens it up, and Zod literally just incinerates him, just leaves his ankles in his boots.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's no way
he probably should have had a crypto boomerang.
He was dead, 100%.
Yeah.
So
all right, well.
So I guess Rebirth.
Sayonara.
Rebirth is sans Captain Boomerang, and I love Captain Boomerang.
Like a boomerang, maybe he will rebirth.
No, maybe.
Maybe he'll come back around.
Yes, perhaps.
As a Captain Boomerang ghost.
Yeah.
And then he can throw ghost boomerangs. Even better.
There was a funny bit, though, where they're asking him, like, why are you a captain or something? And he tells this complete bullshit story to Amanda Waller about how when he was in Australia, he was actually a secret agent. And he basically tells this little story about him being, like, the Australian James Bond. But then he's like, but I didn't like what we were doing, so I decided to go with the money instead of, like, the prestige of being Australian Secret Service. So I moved to the United States, and that's when I ran into the Flash. And she's like, that was bullshit. Like, she just calls him straight on it. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, Boomerang dying sucked. But I mean, all in all, it was an okay story. The artwork was okay. I'd give it 7.5. It was good, but not the best book I've ever read.
Okay, fair enough. You know who the Suicide Squad should fight are those that group of the Guardians or whatever, the Russian superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the trailer for that Russian superhero movie?
I heard of this.
I think we talked about it on air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing Killer Croc go toe to toe with Bearhead guy.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. I'm excited for when Suicide Squad v Justice League, when that collected edition comes out. I'll read that one. So, because I don't know anything that happens there, but.
Well, presumably the Justice League wins.
I think they team up at the end, actually.
Oh, okay.
The only other thing I want to mention really quickly was this weekend I had the opportunity to do. We haven't done a review of food in a while.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity at JB Love Drafts, a bar and restaurant in Harrisburg.
Is it JB or JP?
It's JB Love Drafts.
Okay.
A play on HP Lovecraft.
Yeah.
But so at JB Love Drafts, they have a really like steampunk sort of like that mystical kind of vibe
Okay,
in their
that's cool.
decor.
I'm down with that.
So they had a burger called the Hail Cthulhu.
Oh, Hail Cthulhu.
And this burger is a burger with cheese and lettuce and a pickle and all that kind of stuff. But
sounds like a burger so far.
It had some kind of like marinade or like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like kind of like a creamy like sauce.
Okay, like an aioli,
sort of, which was really good. I couldn't even tell you what was in it, but the thing that made it the best and why it was named after Cthulhu is it had a huge octopus tentacle.
Whoa!
A pan-seared octopus tentacle right on the burger, dude. This thing, no joke, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
So that octopus tentacle had a good texture to it?
Oh, yeah, perfect. And it complemented the burger so well with everything in that sauce. It was great. And I got mine medium rare.
Okay.
And it was fantastic.
Well, I love octopus and all manner of seafood,
Me too.
so that sounds great.
Yeah. It was a little pricey. It was $20. but
That is a little pricey for a burger.
yeah, and it didn't come with fries or anything. But
Oof,
it was
very pricey for a burger.
but it was so good.
worth the trip.
If you're gonna do it, it was my birthday, so I had to have something
I
special.
totally forgot. This is your birthday episode.
Birthday episode. So it was good enough that I had to go all in.
Nice. Well, that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, funny bit of trivia on octopi. Did you know that the males use one of their tentacles as their sex organ?
Yeah.
So you could have been eating octodick.
As a matter of fact, it was the octodick and that cream sauce.
That's what that aioli was?
That's what that cream sauce was.
It was gayoli.
It was delicious.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. We got a 10 out of 10 on the Hail Cthulhu burger.
Right.
I'm going to go try that.
Oh, you have to. It's delicious. I'll go with you and get another one. It was awesome. So moving right along, I think it's about time for the Geek of the Week.
Yes, Geek of the Week. And unfortunately...
Geek of the Week!
Dial it down. This is a sad one.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Unfortunately, this week we have another posthumous Geek of the Week. And this one is a for real geek, as opposed to some weeks where it's just somebody famous who died. This is one of the all-time sci-fi greats, Bill Paxton. Left us at the young age of 61, unfortunately from some surgery complications.
R.I.P.
This guy has been in more movies than most actors.
Titanic.
Just to put in perspective, he has been nominated or won many awards going all the way back to Aliens in 1986. Almost like you name it. He was in Titanic. He was in Apollo 13. Aliens. He was recently in Edge of Tomorrow. Apparently, in this past year, I haven't seen it yet, but there was a show based on Training Day, the movie with Denzel Washington, where he played the Denzel role.
Interesting.
He was in Terminator 2, I believe. Was it Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
Judgment Day.
Was it in Judgment Day? He was in the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a bad guy. He's just been in so many things. This is the only guy who has been killed by a tornado, a Terminator, an alien, and a Predator.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. Twister, you forgot to mention that one.
That's why I said tornado.
Yeah, but they wouldn't know that. So it's sad to see, such a great acting career and someone who really contributed a lot to the cinematic geek universe's multiverse pass at such a young age.
Yeah. You'll be sorely missed. I deeply regret this loss. I feel like there are a lot of movies that will not be well served by Bill Paxton's acting expertise. Although now the argument of was that Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton in that movie will be pretty easy to narrow down. It'll be like, well, was it made after 2017? Then it was probably Bill Pullman.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a debate, actually.
Oh yeah, people are often like,
I don't know who Bill Pullman is.
Really?
I saw his picture.
He was the president in Independence Day.
Oh, that dude. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so
I don't think they look alike.
No, but they have very similar names, and they're also white guys of about the same age. I think Bill Pullman's about 64.
Independence Day 2 sucked, though.
Yeah, was he in it? I didn't even watch it.
At the beginning, giving a speech, it might have been a flashback.
Wasn't he?
He was in it.
Didn't he
no.
show up in it as an old man?
Yeah, he was in it.
Okay.
All right, so you've gotten the posthumous Geek of the Week award.
Yeah.
Thank you for your all you've given us.
And right now, you're fighting aliens and Terminators and Predators in heaven.
That the implication there is that there's aliens and predators in heaven.
There's also a heaven.
We know where they are. Anyway, moving on. Not saying anyone's in hell. I'm just
Not saying anyone's in hell.
just saying that's where the aliens would probably be. All right. So this takes us to our main topic this week. Wolverine 3.
Hang on.
Better known as
I'm really sorry. Before we move
Logan?
on, I just happened to have I had Bill Paxton's IMDb page open up, and I was about to close it, and I looked down. Evidently, his trademark is that he frequently works with James Cameron, and his nickname was Knuckles.
Knuckles.
His nickname was Bill Knuckles Paxton.
He must have played a lot of Sonic.
So I'm really sorry. I just caught the phrase Knuckles, and was like, there's no way I'm not saying this on air.
Now we kind of need to figure out where he got that nickname from. Also, who gives nicknames like that anymore? Like,
Yeah.
hey, Knuckles, get over here. Come here with Ace and Chobani.
Chobani.
Yeah, Chobani got his nickname.
He ate so much Greek yogurt.
Oh yeah, he brings a Greek yogurt for breakfast every day.
Do you think it's because like he got into a fight when he was a kid? And
No,
like,
he just
punched
loves
the shit out of
No,
someone?
no, no. All the nicknames given were about food items. He loves pig knuckles.
Oh, fair enough.
Sautéed pig knuckles.
Well, maybe if he was.
I'd be Octoburger.
Yeah, I
he'd
was
be
gonna
pig
say you'd be
knuckles.
Cthulhu,
Yeah, he would be Chobani.
Giovanni,
Yeah, and you'd be I don't know, coffee boy.
coffee boy.
All right.
I'm sorry. Moving on to
Yeah, what the hell was I saying? Logan. All right.
AKA Shing Shing Knuckles.
Yeah. So very good. So let's just right out the box here say this movie was pretty darn good.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. In my opinion, not only the best in the X-Men world, but possibly one of the best superhero movies we've ever had.
I'm
Because
definitely
it wasn't really a superhero movie.
I'm gonna say exactly that this was not a superhero movie. This is a movie about superpowered people,
Yeah.
and not a lot of them. So, loosely based on the Old Man Logan storyline,
About as loosely as you can get.
we had a little bits and pieces.
It was more based on the X-23 storyline than Old Man Logan.
Right. Basically, brief plot synopsis for any of you who have not seen the film yet, or a refresher for those of you who did. The movie takes place in 2029. Mutants are all but gone, and a new mutant hasn't been born in
25 years, I believe
something
it says.
like that.
Which we'll get into in a minute, because that means that where this takes place in the timeline is completely up to debate.
I don't know if it was that many. I thought they said that a new mutant had
No, he straight up says 25 years.
I thought he said a new mutant hadn't been born since like 2009 or something.
No, he says there hasn't been a New Mutant in 25 years, and I remember that.
Okay.
Because it dates back to, like, the first or second X-Men movie.
Right, it would be X-Men 2. Okay, so that being said, the future has become pretty bleak for mutants, and in some scenes it seems bleak for humans, but other scenes it seems like, okay, humans are still
Yeah.
living their lives, which is honestly I liked, because that's exactly what would happen, even in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
Some people would still go to casinos in Vegas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, things just seem a little bit more lawless than it used to be. It's got
Right.
kind of an Old West sort of vibe.
Right.
This movie has a lot of that Old West feel, because it's directly influenced by some Old Westerns, including Shane, the movie that they reference that they're watching in the hotel.
Right, yeah. So basically, Logan now lives with Caliban and Professor X in Mexico, right across the border, on a little plot of land that he's had, and created a place to keep Professor X, and basically works as a limo driver, getting money to acquire medication for Charles, because Xavier has a neurodegenerative disorder that's been causing him seizures. The only problem is, as they mentioned in the film, when you're the most powerful mind in the world, and you're losing your mind, and you can't control it, some shit happens.
Yeah, they make a mention very early on that his brain has been classified by like the UN or whatever as a weapon of mass destruction.
And unfortunately, we find out that the X-Men are basically dead because of Xavier.
Yeah,
That he destroyed.
I liked
the
how
Winchester home
I
or
liked
whatever.
how they handled
The
that.
Rochester, I mean.
Because again, that's another thing that they kind of turned it on its head from Old Man Logan,
Where Logan
in
killed
which
them all.
Logan killed them all accidentally in this case, and I think it speaks more to Logan in this movie, instead of him just being a pacifist because he feels regret. In this case, he's still taking care of Professor X, even though he's got to be like kind of concerned about that, especially because, as I recall, doesn't the news report say that the Westchester incident was just the year before?
It was. I think it's in a few years before. But was it? Is it Rochester or
Westchester?
Westchester. That's right.
Westchester County.
I always mix up the name, but I know that. I think it says it's a few years before, but I also think like Logan has to be also dealing with some of the anger that Jean, Rogue, the ones who he was closest to. Charles killed them all.
Yeah, because they say that the incident killed 7 mutants.
Like,
So we can. Okay, I know we were going through the plot, but this is, I guess, fits into this little thing we're talking about here. So I believe that this movie is a sequel to X-Men 1.
me too.
And that X-Men 2 and X-Men 3 aren't part of this universe.
Oh, I think they are part of this universe.
No, because
But I'll explain why
there were still students coming into the thing, and if all the mutants stopped being born, you'd think that there wouldn't be any new class.
Okay, I'll explain why I think they're we're fine going on a little on our tangent here. I think that the X-Men, at least up to X-Men 2, perhaps X-Men 2 happened in real, the way the movie was. But everything else we've seen, maybe not. When he holds up those comic books and says maybe a quarter of it happened and the rest, and none of it like this, I think that what we saw were those comic books.
Yeah.
The other X-Men movies are those comic books.
Yeah.
That's what happened, that we're seeing, when in reality the truth was, I think maybe even X-Men 1 might have been a comic book like that.
Well, they do make mention of
how they met the cage
Statue
fight
of Liberty incident
and the cage fighting when he met him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he means, like, but none of it like this. I think this is outside of the comic book world that we normally get.
And I think that is a good explanation as to how the mutants were tied to the Cuban Missile Crisis and like the three other X-Men movies right now. Because they're so big and like so much loss of life or whatever, and it seems ridiculous, it would be easy to say, well, those are comic books.
Right.
There's no way that happened in the real world. Whereas Logan feels like something that is very tied to the real world.
Right.
We don't see anything too fantastical until the very end of the movie. And even then, it's not absurd. It really gets back to X-Men roots where like each of the mutants has like one power.
Right.
And it's just the one thing that they can do.
Well, you think about like we got Apocalypse last year. That would be something that if that happened and now there are no more mutants at all, like that would be a huge deal. That'd be unusual.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is you would think that by this movie, the reason there were no mutants is because they were mentioning the fact that 40 years ago or whatever, almost the entire world was wiped out, and so the entire world got together and exterminated mutants.
Right.
It was like a mutant holocaust.
Yeah.
And they don't make mention of anything like that. It's more, it turns out that they were chemically castrated, basically, that they suppressed the mutant gene,
right.
Which I thought was a good tie back to, if we continue moving in the plot, eventually they end up in a farm, and him and the farmer talk about how there's more and more corn being produced, and they're spraying it by these giant machines all night long. And I thought that was like I was like, why are they giving us this random scene? Mm-hmm. And then they tie it back later by saying, oh, it's in everything. It's in sugary drinks. I was like, oh, fucking corn syrup. They made corn syrup into a villain in this movie.
Yeah. I caught that, which wasn't subtle, but no. They had they mentioned something else that was like not just about sugar. They said there's something about something else too. I felt there was a dig at like something else early on too.
Well, in any case, it's very clear that they use the farm agricultural system that we have in place to turn on its head and be used as a biological weapon
against
which is kind of Black Mirror-esque. You know what I mean? Like, what if the internet, but too much?
Babe. And I feel like leading that to the cause where they wanted to eliminate it just to have mutants be weapons, and that's it. We get to this plot where we get to the point where the only mutants really that are left are being used by this agency and turned into weapons. And this is how we get, lo and behold, X-23 is delivered to Logan by one of the nurses who was able to get her out of there when they basically shut the program down.
Yeah.
And it's Logan's daughter, and she is she's dropped off because the nurse gets killed. And so they find out that the remaining children who have survived, the other mutants, are going to North Dakota to hop over the border into Canada where they'll be safe.
Yeah, presumably Canada's a safe haven for mutants.
Yeah, there's an enclave there or something. And so Logan and Xavier are set out to take X-23, called Laura.
Yes.
Called her Laura?
Yes, Laura.
To take her to North Dakota, meanwhile being tracked by Robot Arm Guy and his band of merry men.
The Reavers.
Yeah. I didn't know that, so that they were from the story. And being with Caliban, using Caliban to track them.
Although the Reavers in this were like an elite team of mutant hunters. In the comics, they're more like cybernetically enhanced hillbillies.
Right.
Where these were like Green Berets.
Yeah. Now here's one of my minor complaints. So this is just a silly joke that I noticed. All of these guys, so their thing is they all have like a robot arm, either their right arm or left arm or their whole arm, but part of their arm is a robot. So is cybernetic. So what I don't understand, and it was just that, apparently the Reavers in the comic books, it's like lots of different body parts.
Yeah.
So what I didn't understand was, is this like an initiation thing to get into this club? You have to have them chop off your arm and give you a robot arm, or?
Well, here's the thing. I thought they were doing it just to like nod at the fans, but then later in the movie they outright say the term Reaver.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, then you don't need to do that nod. You can just make them cybernetic, or you could just make them dudes and just call them Reavers, and the audience will get it either way. Feels like you kind of want both.
Right. Well, I honestly, to me, it felt like they just have to make it, because if they didn't say it's the year 2029 and have nothing that seemed futuristic, like those cars that we're driving,
Or the auto trucks.
yeah, I was like, I feel like if it wasn't for that kind of stuff or having a guy with a robot arm, it'd be like, this could happen today.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I did think was that they were all pretty generic.
We didn't.
One of them is literally billed as Mohawk.
We didn't. Well, no. Okay. My thing is, you always have more of an issue with this than I do. Background thugs or soldiers, I'm fine with that. This isn't a movie about them. I'm fine having them just be.
I didn't think we needed to get a backstory to any of them or anything like that. I just would have liked to understand their motivation.
Well, no. Their motivation is to get X-23 back.
No. I just mean like, even the simplest of lines between two of them. That's like, yeah, let's get these fucking mutants, or something to imply that they have animosity towards
But they're not.
mutants.
But they're just following orders. Like to me, that's my thing. Is if I
Well,
want
the leader calls a couple of them muties, which is obviously some kind of a slur.
Yeah, I want the from the leader, which I felt like I did get from the leader, that kind of thing. But from the side guys, I don't need that. That's just exposition. From the side guys, just let them be side guys. They're the hired help.
You know, I do think that the leader of them, even though he didn't have a whole lot to do, he was doing a pretty good. Didn't his character kind of remind you of Brad Pitt's character in Inglourious Bastards?
Sort of, yeah.
Aldo Rain.
Yeah, sort of.
If the mutants were Nazis.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where he got his inspiration from for this role.
Yeah. Now, the one character that I felt like I did want to know more about was the doctor, the professor guy,
Yes.
who was in charge of the program, the one who really was the head bad guy here.
Yeah, Dr. Rice. He was played by Richard E. Grant.
Now, I wanted to know, I would have liked more about.
Yeah, because he actually did really well. I liked how his character, even though he was villainous, was kind of sympathetic. Mm-hmm. And he could kind of be like, well, he's making good points. They are weapons.
Yeah.
Although I also then, like, if we were moving forward in the plot, how he was unsanctimoniously killed.
Yes.
They didn't make a big deal of it. It was just mid-sentence, bullet to the head.
Yep.
And we saw Logan use a gun, which never happens.
Right. And the thing is like, back to your point right there about them being weapons. Yeah. With X-23, with Laura, no strings pulled. Early on from when we see her, she's already whipping out her claws, killing stuff, and being kind of feral.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, on to his credit, no, she's a wild mutant.
And admittedly, Charles Xavier is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's going to have an aneurysm or a stroke or something, and he's going to wipe out a county.
Like when they're in the casino and
Yeah.
he shuts everybody down. Like, that's a huge freaking deal.
Yeah. So I feel like we've skipped a couple plot points up to this point. For instance, they do go to Vegas.
No, it was Salt Lake City or something. It was not in Vegas. It was a casino on the.
Didn't they say Vegas?
No, they said
on the news report.
No, it says no. It was actually because I thought they were in Vegas, and then the news report, whenever they're leaving, is when it says. I think they're in Salt Lake City or something.
Well, because I did think, like, from a geographical
Vegas
standpoint,
would
that
make
it wouldn't
no
have made
sense.
any sense
No,
for them to go to Vegas.
They went from Texas, I think, to.
Because I remember them being outside of Oklahoma City, and I thought maybe they went to Tulsa because Tulsa is a casino city.
Right.
There's a Hollywood Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
There's a big casino in
There.
a couple big casinos in Tulsa.
I'll have to watch it again, but I know that because I was thinking that too. When I first saw it, I was like, "Why the hell are they in Vegas? That's not the right way." But then when they named the city that they were in, I might be wrong, but when they named the city, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense because there are casinos."
I didn't catch it,
and it was on the way.
In any case, so we see them in a Vegas-like area. Logan has to go to get some supplies, at which point the Reavers show up. They surround Professor Xavier. He has one of his seizures, and Logan climbs his way up to stop them, which leads to the actual only point in the movie that made me go, that doesn't make any sense. And I had to step back and look at it and be like, You know, because every now and again you see something in a movie and you're like, no, that kind of pulls me out of it. because
Oklahoma
it's a-
City.
A logical.
Oklahoma City.
It
was
wasn't
over.
Oklahoma City? No. Because it's a logical fallacy. And this one, it was just a little goof. I don't think it was intentional. It made for a cool shot, but I don't think anyone on set was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. So he goes up and he kills all those guys one by one. And then when he injects Professor Xavier, all their bodies drop to the ground simultaneously. Cool shot, except Professor Xavier's power isn't telekinesis. His power is mind control.
No.
The moment they're dead and their brain goes dead, their body should go limp. He can't control dead bodies.
No. That's a nod back to the other. We've seen him stop things, stop everything in motion before.
Yeah.
Like
Everything that's alive, he doesn't stop time. That's
he-
not one of Professor Xavier's powers.
But he can. But I mean, who's to say that he's manipulating their muscles or something?
But once they're dead, he can't do that.
No.
Because he is a telepathic. It's not like electrical impulses or anything like that.
But we've. How do you think telepathy works? By manipulating the electrical impulses in the brain. It has to be working by.
all I'm saying is that I think it was just they were like, oh, this is going to be a really cool shot that all the bodies are going to drop at once, but it doesn't actually make sense logically with his powers. If it was Jean Grey, I'd say sure. But with Professor Xavier, it doesn't make sense.
But we've seen Xavier do crazy stuff, like put his consciousness into someone else's body.
Yeah,
and stuff.
someone who's living.
We've
never seen him reanimate the dead.
I didn't think of it that way. I thought what happened to me made sense. I'd have to see the shot again, but to me, how it was happening made sense.
Yeah. In any case, it's just that was the only part of the movie. And normally there's several things in a movie that I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. This was the only one that caught me up. Everything else that I've heard a couple of people say, like, well, why is that? Why is that that's a plot hole or whatever? I'm like, it's not really a plot hole. For instance, towards the beginning, at the end of Act 1, when they're at the compound and all the bad guys show up, when first it's Donald Pierce, the leader of the Reavers, and Logan knocks him out and tells Caliban to drag him off into the desert, the argument was made that we just saw him kill a bunch of cholos. Why does he have a problem killing this guy? And they did give what might have made it better was just to have Caliban say, "Don't kill him in front of me. I'll take care of it."
No.
Like if they just made it that Caliban says, "I'll drag him out to the desert" instead of Logan, then that might have cleaned that up.
No, I don't know. I disagree. But this is why. I mean, that would clean it up. But I know you always offer those little lines, but I feel like that's like the.
That wasn't my idea.
I know, but I feel like when they do put those little lines in, it's like come on, like that's the.
Well, you wouldn't know any different if that was the way you watched the movie to begin with.
Okay, I know I love Batman Superman, but I always use the example of that's uninhabited. Like, don't say you're only saying that so that the fans know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that was poorly done.
No, but that to me, if Caliban would have said that would have been the same kind of thing. For me, it's no, because we see when he first before he knocks him out, when he first sees where they're from and everything, he looks like, oh shit, like we can't play around with these guys. So no, he at that point when he doesn't kill him, because if he kills him, it's gonna get a hell of a lot worse. He even says he makes a line about something about these being bad people. He knows this agency. So some random cholo trying to jack his stuff is one thing. This dude is bigger fish. He doesn't want to start a war.
No, but if you leave him alive, there's more of a risk of that.
No, but killing
presumably.
killing him would totally be worse.
I think it would have been better if Caliban was like, no, not here, and then kind of glances back at Professor Xavier's dome or whatever, and he goes, I'll take care of it, and puts him in the back of a car.
See,
you know what I mean?
I understood it as no, go knock him out, and then we're going to have to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. But in any case, that's, again, I didn't even catch that. I didn't think it was, someone said, I thought that was a glaring plot hole. I'm like, no, it's not really. It was just
who do you talk to that looks at this shit?
Don't worry about it. But it was one of those things that I didn't think it was a glaring plot hole. I thought it was the character in that moment was just I don't want to kill anyone right now. I'm not his motivation was I don't feel like killing right now.
No, to me that's people that's people looking for something to complain about. That's when you look for things to not enjoy.
Yeah. For me personally, I did think that the second act of this movie dragged a little bit. I felt like a couple of scenes were longer than they needed to be, and a couple of the scenes could have been cut altogether. Yes, I know they informed the characters, but it could have made I feel like us get back to the action a little bit more quickly.
See, I enjoyed
because I love the action scenes in this movie.
My thing is the action was all great, phenomenal. I didn't want an action movie. I didn't want action. I would have been fine if it was just a couple scenes if it would have been like Old Man Logan, where he doesn't fight at all until the end. I would have been fine with that.
He fights a good bit along the way.
Not whipping out his claws and killing people.
Not at first, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is but in Old Man Logan, he doesn't whip out his claws for a while.
For a long while.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is if he wouldn't have been doing that, I would have been actually fine with that. Because I wanted this more, like, road trip Western story of like, a broken guy trying to find himself again. And you know what I really liked? Full swing. The big reveal that what's poisoning him and killing him all this whole time is a fucking adamantium.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I was like, that makes so much sense, because if you put metal like that, experimental metal in someone's body, holy shit, it would mess with them.
Well, and one of the things I liked in this movie is that he always, even though he has a healing factor, he felt very vulnerable in this movie. Because he gets his ass kicked a lot.
Well, because his healing factor is slowed down.
Well, right, but even if it was still working perfectly, he still is, like, he's no match for the one ends up being the number one antagonist in the movie, X-24. He's, like, gets riddled with bullets, and they really knock him down a peg. Right. And even X-24's healing factor and Laura's healing factor, they all feel like they're a little bit less than what we've seen in previous movies, where his, Jean Grey's melting his skin off and he's still walking. And I prefer that. A superhero that's just a little more than human.
Well, and that gives me...
absurdly powerful.
Well, and that gives me the inclination that it's this one and that... Well, X-Men 1 and then this one. Because in X-Men 1, we see him... Rogue starts taking his powers and that almost kills him. We see him when he says, "Does it hurt?" And he says, "Every time." When the blades come out, and it takes a little bit for them to like seal back shut and everything. Yeah. Like in the first one, we see he's young, his healing factor works, but he still feels pain. Yeah. From then on, it's like this mythical status.
And in the comics, there is an instance where Magneto pulls all the adamantium out of Logan's body with his magnetic powers. And what accidentally happens is that while Wolverine is then more vulnerable and his claws can't like cut through anything, he actually breaks his bone claws on things. His healing factor, evidently, because there's adamantium in his body, is constantly working to keep him healthy because of like poisoning or just because it's damaging to him. So when it's not in his body, his healing factor ramps up like 1,000%, and he becomes even more dangerous. Sans the metal.
Interesting.
But he also becomes like more feral.
Right.
That like maybe his healing factor working on that is also keeping him kind of on the level.
Right. So we do see basically from then on they go through this wild adventure. They finally ultimately get to North Dakota. They stop with these farmers.
Yeah, they stop with these farmers.
We definitely want to mention the farmer scene, and then we can kind of get to the end.
This was your pivoting point in the movie. This is where the action takes a turn, kind of where your heroes start to lose moment,
Right.
This family just takes them in. This was another thing the person argued was that everything at the beginning of the movie happens because Logan refuses to kill the Reaver. Instead of, if he would have killed him, then nothing else would have happened. And in this point, it's if he would have said, "No, Charles, we're leaving," then from this point forward, nothing would have happened. They probably would have just made it to North Dakota without any problems.
But I think that's kind of the point.
Well, yeah, obviously, that would make for a shit movie.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that, like, at this moment, they have an argument. Charles says, "Just let us stay. Just let her be happy for one night." And unfortunately, it goes so badly so quickly.
But you know what? So what happens is the Reavers find them, track them down. They unleash X-24, the Wolverine clone.
Yeah, young Wolverine.
And Wolverine ends up killing the family that's let them stay.
He murders Professor Xavier.
He kills Charles. But before he kills him, we get this probably the best scene in the movie for me.
Oh, absolutely. Where
Charles is really finally comes to his senses and remembers what he's done. And Sir Patrick Stewart nails it.
This is obviously saying this early, as the Oscars were just like a week or two ago. If there isn't a nod for Best Supporting Actor, I think it's wrong, because he was so good in this movie.
He was. I mean, Logan was unbelievable.
But I'm sure there will be other roles that outshine Best Actor, but Best Supporting Actor, I think Sir Patrick Stewart might get a nod for this.
Listen, I am,
And now we live in a world where superhero movies can get Oscars because Suicide Squad got one
no,
for makeup.
but the makeup in that movie is fantastic.
It is.
It's
I'll
not
give 'em
like
that.
I don't. People act shocked about this. Is an aside. But people who are acting shocked, like, how did Suicide Squad get an Oscar? I'm like, well, for something that it deserved. Like, stupid movies have gotten Oscars for things they deserve.
Yeah.
This is one where I doubt they'll get noms, but I think they sure as hell, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart deserve them.
Yeah.
Which was
And Daphne Keane, the girl that played Laura.
yeah.
I don't know how old she is, but
First film ever, and with having nothing to say, no spoken lines for the first half of the movie, made 60% of the movie. Fantastic. Her portrayal and by facial expressions and everything, it exuded like crazy emotional.
actually,
intelligence
no,
and
this
everything.
is not her first role. She was in a movie called The Refugees.
Interesting.
In
Well, it
2014.
said introducing in the opening credits.
Well,
so.
that was she was probably just a little kid then, and it was maybe as an extra or something.
Right. But anyway, I would say what happens then is they leave and they bury Xavier, and that was my maybe tied for second favorite scene in the film because that's where Hugh Jackman really showed off his chops.
Oh, that scene! I got choked up.
You've never seen Wolverine really sad. You've seen him upset about Jean Grey or angry with himself or whatever. But this was legitimately like despair in Logan's face.
Yeah, and you know the other thing about it is it wasn't a Hollywood funeral scene.
No.
It was very real. He could not get the words out. And that's what made it so much more emotional. I can't even make out... He said something about water. Is that a reference to something earlier in the movie?
I have to see it again.
He said, like, there's water, and then he couldn't say it, and then he tries again after a solid 30 seconds or so. And then he couldn't get it out again.
And then he goes...
And I got teary-eyed.
Well, and then he goes to the truck and has, like, a human moment.
Yeah.
Where he just is angry.
He goes Kylo Ren on that truck.
Yeah, he had a human moment. And I was like, yeah, that's legitimate.
And, I mean, let's talk about his motivation. His motivation was, I'm going to take Charles out on a boat. We're going to just spend the last time of his life together. And then when he's gone, I'm going to put this bullet in my head, and that's going to be the end of the mutants. Like,
Yep.
That's going to be the end of it. The X-Men are done. And all of that has gone to shit. He's lost his best friend in the world.
And part of me, this is the thing.
And he's dying.
And this is the thing that I kind of was like, wow. Is you could tell in that moment, Hugh Jackman was conveying, like, that... I don't know if they told him, like, hey, Hugh, for this scene, just imagine that Patrick Stewart actually did die.
Yeah.
Like someone who you've been friends with for, almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
Who's literally been like a father figure to you.
And
But-
let's not forget the fact that when he says, that's my dad, Chuck, it really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Like, he had a hard time, like, he was like, yeah, that's my daughter, whatever. But he was like, no, he's my dad. Like,
Right.
he's always been there for me.
And he's the last thing. He's the last thing of the X-Men that he has to hold on to.
Yeah.
The one who saved him, basically.
Yeah. And at the same time, the one that accidentally killed the X-Men.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, just one moment to Patrick Stewart's face when he says, I remember. And he gets all choked up. Seeing an old man cry is one of the saddest things in the universe.
Right, and especially with a cry out of regret.
Yeah, like an old war veteran or something like that who gets choked up. Like, that is the saddest thing in the universe.
Right.
And then to follow that, I thought it was a dream sequence. You know what I mean? When they revealed that X-24 was a clone of Wolverine, it really surprised me. I thought that was, like, he was going to wake up or whatever.
Oh, no.
And it was going to be, like... it was going to show that Logan still has animosity towards... Like, I thought it was going to be Logan's dream.
Right.
Where he wakes up and he's holding on to something because Charles accidentally killed Jean or whatever.
I didn't really know what to think. I just saw that and was like, oh, shit. And then
Yeah. In the moment, I thought, dream sequence. And then
Right.
when it kept going, I was like, holy shit. Because when he was talking X-24 and bringing something to bear, I thought it was going to be Sabretooth. Like a cybernetically enhanced Sabretooth.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
No, I'm really glad they went with what they went with.
Yeah, I didn't
because
want-
it's literally Logan fighting his old self.
Right.
You know what I mean? Fighting who he used to be before he met Xavier.
Well, Logan fighting Wolverine.
Yeah. It was really impactful.
But yeah, so just to get just the final part of the plot, and then we can talk about what we liked and whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just Logan and Laura. They steal a car. They make it to North Dakota. Laura gets with the other mutants. The Reavers show up one final time. They kind of have a big final battle in the woods on the way.
Logan has to inject himself with this serum,
which allows his healing factor and all his powers to be enhanced really temporarily, very shortly.
Because he takes like all of it at once. It also like basically kills him.
It basically puts him over the edge that he's able to survive and save the kids, but he sustains some injuries, and that's about it. And so it ends with Logan dying,
sacrificing himself for these kids,
and then they bury him.
Again, was not the Hollywood ending.
No.
The Hollywood ending is he leads them into Canada and becomes the new Professor Xavier.
And that's what a lot of people wanted.
Teaching the new generation.
And no, instead it ends with him being the kids.
The real ending.
The kids burying him, and they walk away, and the last thing Laura does is she takes the cross they've left on his grave and turns it into an X, and that's it. And we don't know what happens to those kids. We don't know what's going to happen to them. A friend of mine asked, like, oh, do you think there's going to be like movies now going on that they're the new X-Men?
I hope not.
I said, I hope to God no.
I hope
this is the end.
Leave the questions unanswered.
But
I don't need to know.
It was a perfect self-contained story.
I don't need to know what the doctor was planning on doing with Caliban's body when he said he was great genetic, uses genetic material.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't need to know who the girl was on the other side of the radio saying you're clear to come. I don't need to know if Eden is real.
Like, that was never explained, if it's a real place or...
I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Right.
Because this movie was self-contained. You didn't have to watch any of the other X-Men movies to fully believe.
It felt like...
get it.
It straight up felt like a graphic novel. It felt to me like a standalone one-shot story that has its inspiration from other things, but it literally was perfect in that sense.
Yeah.
And so I'll go ahead and say it. For me, it was a 10 out of 10. Because it felt like nodding to what's come before, obviously, but it's its own story, and that's it.
Yeah. We do get a second very dramatic scene, and this one, like, if the Xavier burial scene got me a little choked up, this one I actually had to wipe my eyes.
The Logan burial.
And that's where, when he's dying, and she's over him, and...
She calls him daddy.
She calls him daddy. And we see, like, throughout the movie, we've seen almost nothing but anger from her, except one smile that she cracks during the dinner scene. And in this one, we see...
Well, and we saw empathy when Xavier died.
Yeah. And then blind rage, because she is Logan's daughter. But in this moment, we see actual sorrow and a lot of love, and we get Hugh Jackman saying, so this is what it feels like. Like, he finally feels not compassion, but that kind of love one time in his life, and then he unfortunately passes away. On. And then we get that awesome... You know what? It could have been done so hokey and been, like, really dumb.
Oh, but
when
X?
she turned the X on it, the cross on its side, it was actually a really fit... Like, everyone in the audience was like, you're damn right.
That's the end. Yeah, no, literally, I saw her walking, like, grabbing it, and I was like, I know what she's doing. Like, this is the perfect ending. Like, I literally thought, I hope the movie ends right here. I don't want to see anything more. I don't want the camera to follow them. Nothing.
Yeah, I loved it went from that to black screen Logan.
Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Perfect ending.
Perfect.
When the man comes around, perfect ending. So, yeah, the things I would say really quickly to I guess, final points for me. The acting, phenomenal. My favorite part of the movie, for sure. The Western kind of road trip aesthetic was fantastic. Johnny Cash was perfect. I can't find anything that I had a big problem with. So, yeah, for me, Logan, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the action scenes in this movie were brutal and awesome.
But not over the top or ridiculous. It literally felt grounded.
Yeah. Well, and the budget of this movie was a lot less than most superhero movies. It was like $120 million, which is still a lot, but I imagine almost all of that went to Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple moments where the CGI, you could tell, especially... when they were doing action scenes with the girl, because she's little.
Right.
I just actually looked it up. She's only 12.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she was like 14, 15 and is just small.
I would have guessed 11
She is very young.
And for those of us who grew up with the first X-Men movie, and that being kind of like the first superhero movie of like kind of the modern era, I mean, this really felt like the final chapter. Like, we've been there for all 17 years with Hugh. Like, this felt like, holy shit, he's dead for real. Like, if I see him walking around like Hugh Jackman, like at interviews and stuff. I'm like, what's he doing? Logan, you're dead.
I know that they want to continue to make X-Men movies. The next one is a Dark Phoenix where Sophie Turner is probably in the 90s or whatever.
Which I'm fine with.
I'd be fine if they said this was the closing chapter of X-Men movies until we reboot it 10, 20 years from now.
No, I'm fine with them continuing those old ones because I like them. I like the James McAvoy ones.
Yeah.
But we don't need Wolverine again.
Yeah.
We don't ever need Wolverine again.
Honestly, I believe, and this is, in my opinion, some of the best acting we've seen in any superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it was some of the best action and like combat we've seen in any superhero movie.
I would say I would put this one in terms of best superhero movies of all time. I would put it second place after The Dark Knight.
Really? You'd put it above Batman Begins?
Yeah, The Dark Knight, in terms of overall everything, as a film, not just a superhero movie. I'm talking about a film.
Oh yeah,
period,
as a film, absolutely.
as a movie, like Dark Knight, and then this one.
I think I'd agree with you. I feel like The Dark Knight, the only reason, well, first of all, it's Batman, but second, the only reason that I think it's a little bit better is that it's, again, a little bit cleaner. It gets to the points quicker.
And The Dark Knight had every single character provides you with that just unbelievable performance, whereas this one, okay, the Reaver guy, like, whatever.
Yeah. If that Reaver was Marvel's Joker, this movie would be one of the best movies of all time.
Oh, if it would have been, Heath Ledger's Joker v.
Yeah,
Logan.
but the thing is, they divided up who the villain is between the evil doctor, the leader of the Reavers, and Wolverine, or X-24.
Right. But yeah, I can't think of...
I will say, best ending in a superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
Better than Dark Knight Rises, better than...
I really do like the Dark Knight ending too.
Dark Knight is, but it's open-ended. Because it's part 2 of a trilogy.
They're both masterclasses. It wasn't meant to be a part 2 of a trilogy, but originally. But yeah, they're masterpieces.
Yeah. I'm I kind
of want to go see it again right now after this talk's over.
Yeah. It's a hard movie to watch.
It was awesome
movie.
There
are some really tough scenes to watch. The violence is bone shattering.
But we're seeing Logan finally get to do.
Well, yeah, this is
give him the R rating.
This is the Wolverine that the audience wanted,
and that's Wolverine. That's really Wolverine. He has Wolverine has like the third highest body count in the Marvel universe or something, like from confirmed kills.
We see a lot of F words being thrown around by Logan and Patrick Stewart.
And I explained this, actually. I was talking to someone when they asked about like the R rating and stuff. I mentioned, I was like, but it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like Deadpool to me. Some of that feels forced.
They were like, we got an R rating, we can do whatever we want.
This felt like, no, this is how someone who's become an alcoholic and lost all hope.
And crotchety old men.
How they would speak. When he sees the guy, the first thing he sees the Reaver guy, and he's like, who the fuck are you, or something, that is exactly how he would talk.
Yeah. By the way, I glanced at the IMDb page while we were talking, and under quotes for the movie, the only quote listed is, who the fuck are you, Logan?
Yeah, there you go.
Which is basically the subtext of that movie. Logan, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. So, that's my final thought. Logan was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's if I had a great or a super great or a perfect category, I would get one of those. But I'll just settle for good,
right?
Because that's my grading scale.
So I think that's gonna about do it for the Strong and the Geek.
Yeah, I mean,
go see Logan, everyone.
Yeah, go see Logan. Go see Logan and get back to us. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at Strong and Geek. You can follow me personally at The Ben Ramirez and him at Ramrez. You can also check out our Facebook page and send us messages and email us at thestrongandthegeek@gmail.com. I know you're probably listening to this on either iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube, but you should also check out the other versions. Like, subscribe, comment, give us ideas for future episodes. Give us your thoughts on Logan. I'd like to hear if there was anything that we missed that you thought was great or was not so great. We actually might be moving to a bi-weekly setup in the near future or after this episode because I'm starting another podcast that's going to be working separately from this one, which I'll...
Shameless self-plug.
Absolutely. I'll be giving details about that as soon as we start It's going to be a movie critique, like a different older movie every episode.
But don't worry, that doesn't mean he'll be ditching the strong and the geek, because everyone knows that that's your first love.
Oh yeah, you never forget your roots.
You don't.
But in any case, I think if that's going to do it, remember to stay strong.
And stay geek. Welcome to the Strong and Geek after post-credit scene.
And he decides who to free and who to blame.
I'm Johnny Cash.
Everybody
That's Johnny Cash spelled C-A-C-H-E.
And I'm also Johnny Cash, spelled Jeanny Cash.
We're here to tell you to go see Marvel and Fox Studios' Logan.